Hey, good morning, guys. Happy government shutdown day. So I'm sure you've heard the government shut down, but don't worry because many of the government websites are still working. Well, at least in the capacity that they're being run like Fox propaganda machines. Don't worry, I brought the receipts. Okay, just when you think this regime just can't go any further down, they're like, fuck it, hold my shovel. Y'all go look at the websites for the EPA, the VA, SBA, HUD. They have these pop-ups running. I'll put a few up here just for fun, saying things that basically like the radical leftists shut down Congress and that basically we're trying to hurt everyday Americans, even though they have control of literally every lever of power in our American government. And yet somehow the left is responsible for this shutdown. And I mean, not only are these banners shady as shit, a complete lie, they're also a violation of the Hatch Act. But I mean, that would only work if you had an administration that actually gave a shit about the law, which clearly they don't. And the Hatch Act basically means that federal employees are barred from using federal resources, like the sites I just mentioned, from engaging in partisan politics. And yes, of course, complaints have already been filed, but it's hard to do anything during a government shutdown, so there's that. And now onto the part that we really care about. Why did they actually shut down? And what does that mean for us? Okay, so the end of the government's fiscal year is September 30th, 12:01. So this morning, 1 October at 12:01, the government was shut down because they were unable to come to agreement. So they wanted to just pass a continuing resolution, which just means like, hey, we're just going to keep spending like exactly the way it is. But of course, the Republicans wanted to pull back $9 billion in foreign aid, and they had already staged like a $5 billion. None of that really matters right now. What that means is the Republicans were saying like, oh yeah, we're going to leave this amount of money in, and then they go and they pull it back. So yeah, that's shady as shit. The big reason that it's shut down is because the Democrats, for once, found their nuts and their spine, and they stood 10 toes down and said, nope, we're not going to do it. Okay, that they're not going to give up on this one particular item. The Democrats said, no, you are not taking these subsidies away from the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, so that regular Americans who have Obamacare, they didn't want their premiums to skyrocket. But of course, the Republicans were saying, no, we're not going to leave it in there because we want to take it out because there's fraud in the Obamacare enrollment process. So the Democrats said, look, no deal unless you extend the subsidies. The Medicaid cuts get reversed and the GOP spending slashes get rolled back. So again, just for clarification, both sides pushed their, it's called a CR, continuing resolution, in September. Both of them failed. Last minute talks between Trump, Schumer, Johnson, and Jeffries, all at the table on 29 September, completely collapsed. Result, a midnight blackout. Well, except for those websites that are still pushing those party politics. If you made it this far in the video, don't forget to drop the secret words government shutdown circus in the comments, like, repost, and follow along for updates. Also, you guys might want to go follow me over on YTube because these videos might just start disappearing. All right, now on to the part about what this means for regular Americans. So for federal workers and military, that means about 900,000 federal civilian employees are furloughed with no pay, and another 700 essential personnel, TSA, air traffic controllers, and active duty troops, they're all still working, they're just not getting a paycheck. Like as if their job wasn't already, anyway. But don't worry, Congress and POTUS still getting a paycheck. And contractors like janitors, full stop on the work and no guaranteed on back pay. So as far as travel and transportation, you can definitely expect some flight delays. Because like I just mentioned, the TSA and the air traffic controllers are not getting paid. So of course, morale is going to be pretty shit. National parks, technically open, but no personnel and no emergency services, so you're on your own. And things like the Smithsonian and the zoo, they'll limp along till around October 6th, and then of course they'll eventually end up closing. How about those tricky benefits? Security checks are still going to go out, but of course the new claims will just start piling up. And SNAP and WIC, otherwise known as food stamps, will continue to pay through October 7th and then no more. But that means that 7 million low-income families are at risk of food insecurity if this drags on past 1 week. Pell Grants and loans still dispersed, and recipients still owe the payments no matter what. Here's the really fun stuff. Health and safety. The FDA, they halt things like routine inspections. RFK must be just so happy. Food, milk, new animal drugs, CDC just simply won't publish non-urgent health guidance. NIH will barely admit any patients at all. And of course, veteran hotlines and things like cemeteries personnel will be cut. And that brings us to that tricky little subject of immigration. So of course, immigration backlogs are just going to stack up. DOJ civil cases stall. I mean, not like they're really being prosecuted by real lawyers anyway, but, you know, important to mention. Labor data collection stops, which again, I mean, no big, right? Because he just fires people if they put out the wrong numbers. And of course, with the stock market being a shaky little bitch right now, the GDP could certainly take a hit. But yeah, I mean, just for clarification, it's definitely the radical left that is stopping you from having safe milk. Just wanted to clear it up. You guys tell me, what do you think? Should these government websites be allowed to openly violate the Hatch Act and use this government shutdown, which was perpetrated by the Republicans, as an opportunity to turn the country against the left, even though the left does not have their hand on a single lever of power? Y'all let me know what you think.